and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has come to the attention of the Nebraska Lottery that we hear a radio commercial in their car. Our lotto games, Powerball, Mega Millions, or Lucky for Life, they tend to begin daydreaming about how they'll spend the prize money if they win, instead of paying attention to the road. So please, when I tell you that Nebraska Lottery Lotto games offer big money and big fun, keep your mind on driving. Do not start thinking about all the things you could buy if you win. Things like bright red sports cars, tropical vacations, 100-inch TVs, hot tubs, SUVs, a new computer, motorboats.
Bob, snap out of it.
Oh, good heavens. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. Perhaps I should go home now.
You better let me drive.
Lotto games from the Nebraska Lottery. Top prize odds vary game.
Working at Collin Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24.11 per hour, which grows to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
This isn't any regular heat. This is nuclear heat. Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. Bringing you the latest from the Square Circle on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Jake Bakovic.
We are happy to be with you for another edition of Nuclear Heat, where we review this past week in wrestling here on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm your host, Jake Bachman, alongside Nuclear Heat contributor Augie Pena. Unfortunately, it has not been the best week in wrestling. As wrestling fans know, lost two legends, and one in particular that was currently on the main roster and just one of this generation's best as far as artistically, just in the ring, a character that you just can't really tell the story of wrestling the last 10 years or so without Bray Wyatt. And so, as of course, that's kind of the news we have to open with. I thought SmackDown and Raw, which we will go over here in a little bit, kind of said it best, is that, Bray Wyatt, Terry Funk, these guys were entertainers. They left nothing more for to entertain the WWE universe, and so they went along with it. They had some great shows and packages for each of these guys, but really just a dagger and tough news to hear. Of course, Terry Funk passed away on Wednesday. He was an all-time this past Wednesday. Of course, he was one of the hardcore legends and really a little bit before my time as far as getting into wrestling. I kind of got the back end of Terry Funk teaming with Mick Foley there a little bit, but really just an innovator in himself. And so it's not to underscore anything that kind of the sadness of him passing away, but of course, with Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, it's especially sad because he's 36 years old, and selfishly as a wrestling fan, there were so many much more that you kind of expected and just thought you would see from his artistic side, and just all together. So just very unfortunate news. I suppose I think WWE did the best they could to honor these men.
Yeah, I mean, it, so sudden and everybody was in shock. You heard all the reports, that they actually, changed their show, especially when Bray passed away, to really honor, his life, as he was an active wrestler, on the roster when that all happened. But yeah, it's a sad moment, and it just really makes you think in bigger picture, we're not invincible. And things like that. Because, I mean, at the age of 36, I know he had his health issues and whatnot, but 36, that's just a couple years older than us, and he's, in great athletic, just in the prime of his career there. And it was really hard, to to see on social media on Thursday that he passed away. So yeah, it was a big hit for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's a good time to just kind of reflect on, our favorite moments there. I thought, the Wyatt family especially was, great. The Fiend that came along later, another, again, show of his artistic side and brought a character that, really hasn't been in vogue, I suppose, in the WWE. Kind of silly if you could try to go back to those Kane Undertaker type characters. That was kind of an attitude era type of thing, and then you had this long period where you had the boogeyman and stuff but it was kind of silly, not taken seriously. The Fiend kind of brought back a scary element character that was seen as dangerous. And Bray Wyatt, I'll be the first to admit I don't think he was always booked the best. I think the Fiend needed to be taken as a monster, and just that Hell in a Cell where they called the match because Seth Rollins was being too physical, just kind of took away the point of the Fiend and the Hell in a Cell. So I thought that really kind of hurt some of his momentum there with that character. But my favorite moment of Bray Wyatt will always be finally when the Wyatt faced the Shield. I mean, it was just two great factions that we finally got to see collide, and it was kind of interesting because the Shield, obviously, you had three guys that stand alone would go on to be world champions and would be great. I'm always interested in that type of faction compared to the Wyatt family, which Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, both very good wrestlers themselves, but not quite in that realm. And Bray Wyatt was, and to be able to still have that feud feel just as big and have it. And part of it is just Harper and Rowan, how big they are. Like it's, can't teach size or anything. So that helped. But for Wyatt to kind of have enough character, and that's what he was, just one of the best characters in wrestling, to be able to carry that was probably my favorite memory of Wyatt.
Yeah, and I really attached him because I'm a huge horror fan. So, he's the guy, as you said, really brought that back into WWE. But I know people weren't big fans of it, but man, that weird WrestleMania match he had with John Cena, where he kind of psychologically, took him back in time, had Cena doing those funny skits.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. That just really showed the range that Bray Wyatt, could really master, the stories he could tell, which that was a weird, wacky segment. He made it great, in my opinion on there. But I agree, the Wyatt family, it was fun. Their entrance, the lantern, the song, he would always say he has the whole world in his hand. I just remember when the Fiend was first introduced, that was pretty, that was weird, because they had him, it was like a Pee Wee Herman type thing, the Firefly Funhouse, and all that. And he kept teasing, he's like a Mr. Rogers type of character, but he kept teasing, something's coming. And then they finally unveiled it. And that mask was just creepy, and just everything he did. You're right. They booked him horribly there at the end. He should have never lost to Goldberg. That was the downfall. Yeah. You don't bring Love Goldberg, great legend. You don't bring a 55-year-old, out to beat an invincible monster that had never been pinned. And he beats him in like 5 minutes, so yeah, some disservice there. But I mean, I think Bray did an amazing job with what he was given.
Well, and that's too, I mean, every wrestler, I mean, if you ask them to book themselves, they'll just do what Roman Reigns is doing, be just an unbeatable guy. To be able to get characters over and keep things going from week to week, even if you do get pinned, even if you do kind of show a chink in the armor, is part of it. And he was just always one of the best at doing it, just creating characters. Unfortunately, we'll never kind of see where this Uncle Howdy thing was kind of going. At least I assumed, they're not going to carry on with any of that. Of course, the WrestleMania match was planned for Bobby Lashley. It's tough to get too much kind of out of the story yet. We'll kind of see how it unfolds. But it sounds like, kind of health issues started up then, and that's why he wasn't actively wrestling, and ultimately took his life, unfortunately. But again, we'll get into SmackDown here now. I thought they did a great job of paying tribute to both him and Terry Funk. They did, I think it's one of the coolest things is the 10-bell salute. It does make me feel sometimes like when I see a guy like Rey Mysterio, who's been out there for Eddie Guerrero's 10 bells, just like, I wonder if you're just if you've been in the company that long, it's like, how many of these am I going to have to go through? I mean, that's got to be a tough moment for some of those guys. But notably, Eric Rowan was there, of course, who has not been in WWE in quite some time. Braun Strowman, who has been, but we haven't seen him too much. Of course, members of the Wyatt family. Luke Harper, of course, passed away a few years ago. It's crazy. I mean, how great that Wyatt family is now that two of them are already gone. And again, just a reminder, just to hold your loved ones close and enjoy every moment you get, because both those guys taken way too early. I think importantly, the whole thing is a bit of a struggle, even as a fan, like watching it and kind of processing it and then thinking, how are we going to get to wrestling? Because we all love wrestling, we all love the entertainment of it, but it's very kind of silly when you talk about it compared to a life and death situation, obviously, that you're going through. So I thought they did a good job of kind of getting a Rey Mysterio, a fan favorite, out there, having his music hit. He's him, along with all the wrestlers this week, had some sort of tribute to Bray Wyatt or in Terry Funk and so instead of going through, a promo would be impossible to send anybody out there. Just get right into a match. And that's what they did. A non-title match between Rey Mysterio and Grayson Waller. Again, it just, to me, kind of thinking through WWE, processing it, is you got to find the right guy to do that. And I think Mysterio has made sense there. And you also got to kind of find the right feud. It's like, okay, what feud can kind of go without a promo and just kind of be put in this place. And I thought they chose a pretty good one here. Ultimately, Mysterio defeated Waller. It wasn't out without interruption. Austin Theory came in to try to help Waller. Santos Escobar made the save for Mysterio. So it's looking, with a bit of a stare down there, maybe a potential for a tag team match or some sort of feud. And out of all of it could be a Waller Theory pairing, which maybe could save Waller, or save Theory, who we've been talking about, needs a fresh coat of paint.
Yeah, and I think it could be fun. Waller has his show, which we've spoken on a bit there. I thought it was a good match. I like the armband. Rey Mysterio, had the Bray Wyatt and the Terry Funk armbands there to represent both of them passing. But yeah, I think, as far as the first match to kind of get it going, because that 10 bell salute, seeing those wrestlers up there crying and whatnot, tearing up, and just the faces, it's hard. But yeah, this was the right choice for it. I'm excited because I think Waller and Theory can both play off of each other, just fine. They're both kind of, Theory is kind of in the back end of a bad run, I'd say, and Waller is at the beginning of a decent run. So, putting them together, they can meet in the middle and hopefully, do something from there. So I'm encouraged by it. I think it should be, it could be fun.
Yeah, I think it would be a good pairing. I don't know how far they go with it, because I've seen comparisons too, from Waller basically being a better Theory, the kind of the cocky, good-looking guy that just has done a good job with what he's been given so far. So obviously, I think that pairing can kind of work. Still would be interested because, as I see it, again, I think they're maybe trying to find something for Theory here, and so the pairing makes sense. But it would also be kind of bad if Theory kind of falls, like it shows very strong that Waller is kind of that guy, and Theory is kind of struggling to be what Waller is, who is just new to the main roster. But we'll kind of see. I think it's a good pairing, and we'll see how long they go with that. Obviously, LWO dissension maybe there at any time can pop up, but right now they're on the same side right now and going for it. Continuing with LWO, actually had the women's championship match. Zelina Vega coming out, of course, part of LWO, to take on Io Sky. Interesting to have a women's championship match. I think Io Sky's first defense of this title in this spot. But Sky defeated Vega. It was a very good action-packed match, as you would expect out of the both of them. Of course, not too many weeks ago, Vega had defeated Sky to kind of set this up. We're kind of wondering why they did that going into Money in the Bank, or what was it? It was going into the
SummerSlam.
SummerSlam, where Io Sky would be the champion, because it didn't necessarily look the best to have her pinned, a few days before she took over the championship. But it was for this match. It was to give Zelina Vega some credibility and make this interesting. And obviously, the right choice to put Io Sky to win. Yeah, it would have been a quick championship reign with Zelina Vega would have taken it.
Yeah, and I really like Io Sky in the ring, and Zelina Vega gives a really good match, and she did a tribute to Eddie Guerrero. She did the
Mm.
shake up there from the top. Yeah, I thought this was a good match, and I know they had announced this before, the whole Bray passed away, so they felt this, keeping it in there. But yeah, I thought they made Io look really, really strong, and they're both very small, and they're top flyers, I guess is what you say. But man, Io Sky is very athletic. You don't realize how athletic she is until she gets out there. She's land, somersaults and all these types of flips and everything there. Yeah, I thought it was a really good match, and it was a really good first title defense for her. I'm interested to see where they kind of go forward with her, because what's going to come. The Bailey and Dakota Kai kind of out there in the ring. That's kind of the hot story everybody's waiting for. But right now, just run with her and make her look as strong as you can, because whoever's going to, challenge her for that title, we knew it wasn't going to be Zelina Vega, but it was a fun match.
Yeah. And I don't think Vega really loses anything from this. Obviously, you have a good fight with Sky and look good against the champion. And so, I think it was good too. Sky, a clean victory. They don't need to have Bailey saving her every time. They need to make a little bit, Sky a little bit more credible than I think they have in the past. And so I think that's good. Though I will say with that group, they've always made Sky look pretty good. It was usually, somebody else taking the pen. She would, on occasion, because quite honestly, they got their butts kicked for quite some time. But I think it's a good start for Sky. Moving on in SmackDown, Cody Rhodes then pays tribute to Hall of Famer Terry Funk. Again, doing a very good job of WWE video packages are just incredible. They have so much to work with, and they do such a good job of putting it together. So if you didn't understand or didn't live through the Terry Funk era, you can kind of were introduced to him and understood kind of the significance of his passing. And they had a Terry Funk hardcore tag team match to kind of honor him as well. Kind of notable. It wasn't too hardcore, but it was Brawling Brutes and the Street Profits. Street Profits end up defeating the Brawling Brutes here. Looks like, if you kind of line this up down the line, this could be kind of a good first match for the Street Profits. Teaming up with his name's escaping me
Bobby
now.
Lashley.
Bobby Lashley. And in the Brawling Brutes, of course, if you bring in Sheamus, that'd be kind of
that'd be fun.
Works well. So I hope that's where they're going with it. But if you do that, you kind of have the team that you expect to lose the feud surprisingly win the first match and then kind of get it going. They didn't do that here. I think you could do that with bringing Sheamus in, elevating it and then having a payoff down the line. The main event for the night was LA Knight and Finn Balor. Kind of strange because Finn Balor has been feuding quite a bit and being in main events, but not with LA Knight. So this was kind of just seemingly kind of thrown together. But LA Knight did a good job with his promo, kind of thanking Wyatt. If you remember, Bray Wyatt's kind of big return post-Fiend. His first matchup and feud was with LA Knight, and it was LA Knight's first feud basically on the main roster. So kind of did a good job there of saying, that was certainly an example of getting over without going over. LA Knight did not win that feud against Bray Wyatt, but it certainly elevated him to what he is now, maybe the hottest name in the company.
Yeah, and I thought that's actually Bray Wyatt's last WWE match was that, what did they call it? The Mountain Dew Night,
it was sponsored by
Glow in the Dark,
some
something.
Sort of Dew,
it had a lot of potential. I think the match lasted like 3 minutes or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. And LA Knight killed that promo. He went from personally thanking Bray to, within a second, going right back into his feud with the Miz, talking about it, and everything there. He's just getting so much better every time he's there. And I thought this was a good match. It was weird because Finn Balor, nothing to really do there, but I think this was kind of more of a tribute. It was a push for Knight, but also like a tribute towards Bray, because I think Bray and Finn were good buddies, so it's kind of an honor match there, or so to say, on there. But yeah, I thought it was a really nice way to end Friday Night SmackDown. His promo at the end when he was talking about the Miz, and he mentioned, he was like, a wise man once told me, run, and that just, it was all, that was great. That was great.
And it is kind of strange though with LA Knight, as they're kind of they're putting him in this feud with the Miz, which is perfect guy, as we've talked about before, promos and all that. And he can lose over and over and over again. He's still got that moment that he had with Cena and that he always brings up. And so he's got his Grand Slam and all that. I mean, he's had success in WWE, obviously, so much so that he can take all these losses. But it is interesting to me that LA Knight, they've kind of, through these feuds that they're kind of putting him in, with Top Dollar a little bit. And I mean, but he's beaten Sheamus. He's like beaten Sheamus and now Finn Balor in like kind of matches that weren't really feuds. Yeah. And those are like bigger names. Yeah. Kind of names you would expect after these feuds to build up to.
Yeah. I mean, those are two former world champions, that have done a lot. Sheamus headlined a WrestleMania, and things like that. That is strange, but I think if you're going to pull the trigger on LA Knight, you got to do it after this feud now. They're showing the green light for him, which I love as an LA Knight fan. On there, I'm excited for his future right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he is, again, the biggest kind of movement in the WWE. Maybe not the biggest name. I think, you still have Roman Reigns and guys like that, but as kind of the movement of what's happening now, LA Knight is on top of it. So good, got a feel good match there at the end, again, along with that promo honoring Bray Wyatt to kind of end the night for SmackDown. And that's where we can kind of put it in pen for now. We will go over Raw in the next 2 segments. Of course, a 3-hour show compared to the 2 hours of SmackDown. So it usually takes us 2 segments to get there. If not, maybe we could talk, if we have a little extra time, maybe we'll talk a little bit of AEW in Wembley, where they set the record for attendance there, which was really cool. But all anybody is talking about once again is CM Punk, little brouhaha backstage, which probably shuts the door on CM Punk. I wouldn't say returning to WWE. I don't know how long he's going to last in AEW. It's just very kind of interesting to watch that play out. We got John Cena's return and, of course, Payback to talk about as well. So plenty more to cover here. We'll cover Raw specifically coming up next here on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket.
Repeat after me. I will not touch the fuse box.
I will probably not touch the fuse box.
Do you remember what happened last time?
Yeah, I remember.
What happened?
Half of the city block lost power.
And?
My chicken condo went haywire.
That's right. The chickens ran wild. So what do we do instead?
Call Joe at Ambition Electric and let him handle everything. Look, saved on speed dial.
Ambition Electric, 402-217-3415. We're online at ambitionelectric.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it is Truck Month at Koppel, and we are pulling out all of the stops for this gigantic event. The lots are starting to fill, and we have some great deals for you waiting in Louisville. Brand new GMC Sierra Light Duty and new Silverado Light Duty trucks. All trim levels have up to $4,000 in discounts. That's right, up to $4,000 off all new light duty trucks right now at Koppel. So do not wait. Now is the time to buy a new truck. So stop on in or visit us online at koppelcars.com. You must have a trade-in and finance with Koppel. All deals with approved credit.
The best way to learn about Southeast Community College is to visit. And you can check out our spaces before you visit in person with a virtual campus tour. An opportunity to see our campuses in Beatrice, Lincoln, and Milford as you learn about our programs and areas of study. There are virtual tours of our learning centers too. We can even take you on a personalized virtual tour. Learn more on our website, southeast.edu/visit SCC. SCC, your path to possible.
You finally finished your man cave in the basement. Brand new furniture, huge TV, and all of your collector's items. You're ready for football season. You were so excited until one bad rain and it is all ruined. Don't risk a flooded basement and countless dollars in damages when it can be avoided. Call John Henry's today for a free sump pump estimate for your home.
435-5555. John Henry's coming.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mix Concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. Nebco offers great pay, medical, and retirement benefits, paid time off, and we pay for CDL training. Apply today to earn an average total compensation of $50,000 to $60,000 your first year driving. From Nebco's beginnings in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
Guys, when I first started with Barrel's Extreme Body Shaping, I weighed in at over 300 pounds. Now, less than a year later, I'm under 200 pounds for the first time since high school. I'm stronger, I'm healthier, and it all began with the Barrel's 10-week challenge. 10 weeks of kickboxing, strength training, and guided nutrition coaching to help you reach your fitness goals. Their next 10-week challenge begins on April 8th. If you're wanting to change your life like I have, head to theticketfm.com and click on Enroll Now on the homepage. Plus, get a promo code for a discount just for ticket listeners. Barrel's Extreme Body Shaping.
Attention all Wings fans. 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, listen up. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like getting new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best we can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. We're on the brink of spring cleanups for all of our existing customers and have limited spots left. We trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give us a call today at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of our designers and get ready for Tailored Life's grand opening in Bennett.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? Worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish, and don't sleep on their sides, shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pine Lane. Let them fix you a plate.
Hey there.
Hi, honey.
Uh-oh.
Remember we told Jamie and Mike about Liberty First Credit Union, how great their checking account and car loans are, the amazing service we get, and how we love being members?
Yeah.
Well, they took our advice. Jamie said how easy it was to move all their accounts and become members. Now they say they're banking with purpose at Liberty First Credit Union.
Learn more about being a member at libertyfirstcu.com. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Member EUA.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bakovic, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on Nuclear Heat, WWE Week in Review Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. We have been running for a few weeks now, so we feel like we kind of got some wind behind it, so I feel pretty good. I'm Jake Bakovic, of course, your host, along with Nuclear Heat contributor Augie Pena, and we went through SmackDown. We also, of course, kind of paid tribute to the passing of Wyndham Rotunda, better known as Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk. That would continue into Raw last night, but let's jump right into it. Of course, they did have the I'm going to call them promos now. The video package for Bray Wyatt and opened up, and I think part of this we didn't mention in SmackDown. They did it with Raw as well. The rocking chair, having that out there, iconic before he passed away. Obviously, even more iconic. And you talked about that song, the Bray Wyatt, kind of slow going. Can you feel, all that? It just kind of hit me when it was out there in the rocking chair. It's like, we're just not going to hear this. I mean, it just kind of expected, and he had switched his songs, kind of did different iterations of it, but that one especially just special. And so just kind of hard to see the rocking chair out there one last time. But again, good way to honor Bray Wyatt, who again passed away last Thursday. So Raw, again, same type of deal. You don't want to start with a promo. They start right away with a fan favorite coming out in Sami Zayn to take on Damian Priest, which is just a good match. I mean, in a singles match, finally. Right? I mean, we've been begging.
Yep.
We've seen Sami Zayn in some sort of team fighting against Judgment Day. And so it's nice and fresh to see a singles match. No promo there. So they just had this match. They announced during the match, which I thought was kind of strange, the tag team match, which will be happening at Payback between Priest and Balor, of course, Judgment Day, and KO and Sammy, which we'll talk about Payback here in a little bit, but that sounds at least fresh enough, again, for how much often they've done it to actually put the title on the line. Will be fun in a good match. In any case, this one was good too. Sami Zayn, a lot of high flying spots, a lot of near pins. But ultimately, JD McDonough comes out, distracts Sammy, allows Damian Priest to hit the South of Heaven for the win. Interestingly enough, afterwards, JD McDonough goes to raise Priest's arm. Priest shoves him back, pushes him back. They're kind of telling the story. He does not want McDonough's help. McDonough's kind of been trying to help Judgment Day because he's got a tie there with Finn Balor. The rest of Judgment Day, not necessarily feeling it. And so Priest just walks away as KO shows up out of nowhere.
Yep.
Again, the timing of it was like, man, should have been here just a second ago, so you could have helped Sammy a little bit before he lost the match. But it shows up in enough time for him and Sammy to hit their finishing moves on JD McDonough as Priest walks away.
Yeah, and it was a really, really good match. And man, I've said this before. They're finally doing something with those tag team championships. You kind of forget that KO and Sammy have been the champions since WrestleMania. So it's been like 5 or 6 months now of them not doing anything with those titles. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, this whole JD McDonough thing, it does put an interesting twist on the Judgment Day. And I think it keeps the story fresh, because my assumption will be that he's going to cause Finn to split here soon, but we'll see. We'll see on that. But man, Damian Priest as Senor Money in the Bank is phenomenal. I think his work is great. He's getting better on the mic. He's great in the ring. He's like 6'6". He's a tank of a guy. So it's always fun when you have somebody like that against Sammy, who's a high flyer, can really get the place going. But it's always surprising when, even with a distraction, a champion of any kind takes a pin, and I know there's a distraction there, but Sammy took the pin. And like you said, KO not showing up till, it's all said and done, to attack JD there is very interesting. But I am interested in, do they take the titles away? And because I think that put an interesting twist on the whole Damian Priest and Finn Balor. There's been a lot of tension there, where, Finn says that Damian took his chances away, lost him some matches in there. Do you give them the belts and then have them kind of be forced to stick it out? There's a lot of cool things they can do with this on here. And besides that, I mean, KO Sammy versus Damian and Finn Balor, if they're given 10 minutes, that's going to be a great match.
Yeah, either way, I'm really looking forward to that match. I think you're right, though. I think they've been teasing enough of that kind of dissension between the two that it's time to do something with it. And they kind of got to that later in the show, too, with the promo in the back, where they basically, Rhea Ripley threatened to change Judgment Day in some way if they don't win at Payback. So kind of putting stakes on it. They don't always pay off on those sort of things, but I think it makes a lot of sense to do something with it, because it's been kind of, it was a good idea at first, and it's a good part of telling the story. But as we've been complaining for weeks now, it's the same story that they're telling every week at the end of Raw, and then they come back the next week. They're still upset about it, but they go on and act like, kind of teammates, a little bit of dissension. By the end, one of them costs the other the victory, and they get frustrated. It's just the same thing. So it's time to push the button and do something with it.
Yeah, and remind me if I'm off on this. When was the last time we saw Finn Balor win a match?
Yeah,
it's been months, but he's still coming off strong. As we've talked about, they lose every main event. Judgment Day does every main event, but they attack the people. So you got to do something with it. And I think this is the perfect opportunity. As you said, Rhea, who is quote unquote kind of in charge of Judgment Day. She's the women's champ. She's trying to feud with Guy, the male wrestlers in there. So yeah, it's really interesting to see what they'll do here.
Yeah. Also, I thought it was interesting too, as they kind of transitioned to the next couple of segments, they did their promos. The NFL title legacy belts were shown, which is they've been kind of pushing around. Basically just has the, your any team logo. on the title belt. Of course, your team, the Eagles,
Yep.
you know, they're coming off a pretty good year.
Yep.
You might be able to be interested in this. Is that something you would be interested in at some point?
Oh.
Those things cost quite a bit, though.
Yeah, they cost a lot. So, you know, I don't think I could afford to get one. But yeah, you know, WWE has always been a part of it. Cause I remember in 2017 when the Eagles won, you know, their first Super Bowl there, they had, you know, the title belts, you know, the title belts are always present in the championship celebration. So I think that'd be that's a really cool idea there.
Yeah, and WWE just done a good job over the last several years of like noticing that and like helping teams that win championships or NBA, whatever it is. So I wonder if they'll kind of pair with the MLB, NBA, stuff like that as well. We'll have to see. Also announced was John Cena's return to SmackDown. He's going to be on like something like 4 or 5, 8 SmackDowns.
It's like he's back.
It's quite a bit of SmackDowns. Which is interesting to kind of see what they do with them there. Obviously, I don't necessarily think, especially on SmackDown, that's where Roman Reigns' title is. I mean, if it was coming to Raw, you might kind of think big title picture. I don't think you're going to push him past Ric Flair here. If you're a historian, you know that Ric Flair and John Cena each have the record of 16 world titles in the WWE. I always kind of thought they were going to give that to John Cena. His time just with the company is just kind of now he's kind of a part-timer, but with 8 straight weeks, who knows? Maybe they'll have him another. There's at least the possibility that they tease it and have him in a championship match. I don't think they'd necessarily give it to him. But the problem with, of course, doing that or giving it to The Rock, if everybody wants The Rock to come back, is that you have to defend it. I mean, you have to be back the next week, or at least have some time off to be able to, you know, from your movies or whatever, to be able to show up and defend your title. And Cena's saying, I've got a little bit of time.
And dream scenario here for me: bring back Randy Orton, bring back John Cena,
There you go.
have them do like a mini feud, you know, and then John goes away for a little bit. Randy stays, you know, does his own thing, and then boom, you got one final WrestleMania match. It doesn't even have to be for a title. Can you just imagine though, one more time, like, or even Royal Rumble, you know, just a big pay-per-view. John Cena versus Randy Orton for the last time.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. And for what it's worth too, Randy not too far behind in titles. He's got 14. So maybe they could do one of those things where you just kind of give Charlotte Flair like 3 championships in like the 4-month span. He just loses it and gets it back. Maybe do something like that with Randy. Eventually set up a Cena versus Randy championship match for the 17th title. Again, now we're getting too into fantasy booking. That's not going to happen, but I think that would be pretty cool. Though I'll have to say I'm a much bigger Ric Flair fan than I am a John Cena fan. So I will have to say that I don't want to see it get past. But at the same time, Ric Flair is growing up, you know, getting an age.
See, that's where we differ a lot. Then we have a lot of the same takes, but I am a huge John Cena fan.
Oh, yeah.
I do like Ric Flair. Obviously, he did a lot for the company, but you know, being my age, growing up, you know, in the PG era is what we'd call it. John Cena was the guy, and that's the guy. You know, I love The Rock, my favorite wrestler, but John Cena's there. You know, I do like a lot of the stuff he's doing in Hollywood too. He's funny, and all that stuff. So I would love to see John Cena, and I think he's done a lot more for the WWE. You know, as terms of like Make-A-Wish, you know, all the promos and everything. He's he's you know, on the Mount Rushmore. He's there, you know, alongside Ric Flair, who is there as well. But I think John has just done more. I think it'd be cool for them to give him that last title there to just surpass him.
Well, of course, at least it's given him enough space in between time of basically the famous chant where you would be saying, "Let's go Cena," and I would be saying, "Cena sucks." It's because John Cena, they would just turn him Super Cena, and he would never lose, and so it would frustrate, you know, fans that would like to see something done creatively. But like you said, him and Orton had a great rivalry back in the PG era, basically, and it would be cool to see that if they ever do one last match between both of them. Maybe not try to wait till you get kind of that Sting Triple H match. That was kind of a disaster, you know. So maybe they could try to do that a little bit sooner. But either way, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be championship, but it's just to see in whatever way he's involved. He does bring more interest, more eyeballs to WWE for this time period, which sometimes can be a bit of a lull period. I'll say this: the Payback card I think is solid, but it doesn't rival, you know, SummerSlam or anything like that. So Cena will give them a little bit of extra oomph there. From there, Miz comes out, does a fake LA Knight entrance. Great, because the LA Knight music hits, and of course everybody's so excited for LA Knight. Miz does a great job of acting like LA Knight, obviously mocking him the whole time. I kind of expected LA Knight to hit the ring and defend himself there, but ultimately it was just The Miz mocking him and doing a good job. They've had a lot of name calling, a lot of calling him kind of a generic wrestler and all that. But it adds a little bit more spark to the feud.
It does, and The Miz, his time is past, a little bit whatnot. He is just perfect. He's the perfect man out there for these jobs, and I love when he's like, yeah, I say my name, yeah. And he keeps, and then he says something, and he's like, yeah, and the crowd's trying to keep up with him, but they're like, oh, when are you going to, it was phenomenal. I mean, he looked like LA Knight. That's kind of the scary thing on there. This was a phenomenal promo. I loved it. I thought it was great for their feud. I did expect, like you said, LA to come out and do something, but I liked it just the way it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's good. And again, LA Knight definitely going over in this feud, but it'll be fun to watch that payoff. The New Day and the Viking Raiders then have a battle. Riddle and McIntyre, Mick Riddle, as Riddle's trying to be let it be in the name, goes to watch ringside. Again, they're still telling the story that a promo earlier in the evening of Riddle trying to recruit McIntyre, kind of with the silly. It's kind of funny. Riddle had a picture of McIntyre in like his bro shorts or whatever, and then had McRiddle notes that he was taking ringside. This is a long match. Ivar eventually piles Kofi onto McRiddle, again, who are ringside. McIntyre gets upset. He accidentally throws a chair and hits Xavier Woods. He was trying to hit Eric of the Viking Raiders. In any case, this allows the Ragnarok from the Viking Raiders for a much needed win for them in this feud. They have been. I always say they're great live because they're just behemoths. They're kind of a throwback to old school wrestling gimmicks, and they just look great, but they never get any wins. And so it's really tough to take them seriously. They needed this win, and I thought they did a good job. Obviously, and also noting later in the night, as we try to see if there's going to be a little bit of something between McRiddle, it's going to take a little bit to get used to, and New Day. Xavier obviously went to the back, got checked out and stuff. Kofi said there's no, with McIntyre's history, they're not going to have any problem. They understand it was an accident, but we'll see some storytelling potentially down the line for that as well.
I think they need to pull the trigger and make McIntyre heel. They need to do it. We talked about this before. I liked the segment. I thought the match was great. We can't overlook that. The Viking Raiders, let's go. You got to win for the first time this year, I think. Really big for them, and especially over Kofi Kingston, who's a former world champion. That's huge. I don't think it's going to last, unfortunately, because all of this is obviously going to turn into a New Day versus McRiddle. That's so weird to say. It's almost like I'm going to McDonald's,
right.
or something like that.
They're got to get sponsorship.
I know. I think it's because they don't have the G in there or something like that. I don't know. But I think, you got to turn them heel. You got to turn Riddle and McIntyre heel, get that feud going. I think it could be money. New Day could carry it if they need to. So.
The next feud we saw is probably my favorite one in wrestling right now. You had Ludwig Kaiser going up against Chad Gable. Gunther has done this great job of getting heat by going on top of the announce desk. So as Ludwig Kaiser comes out, Imperium comes out, you eventually have Gunther goes on top of the announce table, get a lot of heat from the crowd. It's interrupted by Alpha Academy. Of course, Gable leading that out there. They put on a long, good match. A lot of offense for both these guys at different times. Eventually, Gable was kind of going for his finisher, and Vinci comes in and breaks up the pin, and then Imperium kind of outnumbers Alpha Academy to kind of set up this thing. Interesting, though, they are going to have this title match next Monday to look forward to Monday Night Raw instead of Payback. This is the feud I'm most interested in. I would love to see this at Payback. I'd be so interested in it. I'll watch it on Raw. I'm not any the less for it, but I just think that's kind of interesting booking because this would be a draw for me right now.
Oh, big time. And just all the players in it, you got Chad Gable versus Gunther. I mean, that's huge. And then Ludwig Kaiser, who's becoming a huge star. Vinci's still kind of in the corner, but he did something, he broke up the pin. He did something. On there. Yeah, it's a very curious decision as to why not, but from looking at the Payback card, it looks like they're kind of stacked at the moment. So that's maybe why, but I don't know how many days he's away from breaking that record, but they're really teasing that Gable might be the guy that eventually takes it away from him.
Yeah, that's kind of the big storyline all throughout this. I don't think he ultimately does. I think you got to push Gunther. You've done it this long.
Yeah.
They've obviously already kind of gotten Master Gable over by beating him basically twice, in two different ways. One was just a lasting 5 minutes, whatever it was, but the other one was the count out. So he's already gotten over from this feud, so I don't think he necessarily needs that, but we'll see next Monday. All right, let's take a quick break here. This is Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket. We're about halfway through Raw. We will get through the second half of it quickly and then make our predictions for the upcoming Payback pay-per-view premium live event. Sorry, WWE. I'm sorry. I know it's a premium live event. So we'll do that. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll be back right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like getting new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best. If you haven't already, I was trying to figure out the maintenance. We're cleanups for all of our stores, have limited. We trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give us a call today at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of our designers and get ready for Tailored Life's grand opening in Bennett.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? Worries of slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish, and don't sleep on their sides. Shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pinewood. Let them fix you a plate.
Hey there.
Hi, honey.
Uh-oh.
Remember we told Jay and Mike about Liberty First Credit Union, how great their checking account and car loans are, the amazing service we get, and how we love being members?
Yeah.
Well, they took our advice. Jay, how easy it was to move all their accounts and become members. Now they say they're banking with purpose at Liberty First Credit Union.
Learn more about being a member at libertyfirstcu.com. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Member UA.
There's a lot of realtors in Lincoln, but don't get overwhelmed by all the names. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realtor Group, Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate is your go-to option when buying or selling residential and commercial property. Ben's team offers unbeatable customer service and promises to make the buying and selling as stress-free as possible. Call Ben today at 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Real Estate Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate.
People don't like it.
No pressure, just professionalism.
But I love 107.
Problem gambling affects more than the gambler. It affects
they're that
spouses,
station that,
children,
like,
extended
where
family
they
members,
play,
and
like,
friends.
Christmas
If you are a loved
music,
one who's struggling with
24/7,
addiction, contact
my favorite
Traces
thing,
Treatment
it's always
Center's
on the
helpline
radio.
at 402-476-2300. That's 476-23.
First, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful. I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman. Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Lincoln and Grand Island. SolderHeyman.com.
Hi. Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockelman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here on Nuclear Heat, wrapping up the show with some predictions for WWE Payback. But first, we got to get through the second part of Raw, so we'll do that quickly as our show just kind of flies by. We were talking about during the break, can go pretty quick break. So, but we do have an hour. We're thankful for it, and we like to talk some wrestling. So we'll pick up where we left up in Raw, which is kind of setting up this World Heavyweight Championship match between Seth Rollins and Shinsuke. Rollins was out there, did a good promo. If you did notice again, too, the nameplate his on his championship belt was Bray Wyatt. So a good job of honoring him. I also noticed a live kind of thing he did. He was thinking about going to SmackDown to kind of be one of those people on the 10 bell salute stage or whatever, and just kind of thought back to a conversation he had with Bray Wyatt. I believe it was when Luke Harper passed and said, just kind of hold your loved ones close. And so he decided to do that instead. But you could tell it was kind of taking a toll on him, and as well as all these wrestlers. Again, very kind of difficult to go out there and do their job. But Rollins, as usual, a lot of charisma and kind of got the crowd going over doing his song and all of that. Eventually, they kind of do this promo of Shinsuke again, for some reason bringing Rollins' family into it, which is what gets Rollins all upset. Rollins did kind of try to pay homage to Shinsuke's career, kind of talking about his New Japan days and NXT days. Didn't really get a pop from the crowd.
Yeah.
So, it was kind of one of those moments where it was like they were like paused for excitement and nobody did anything. So it was kind of awkward. But ultimately, once again, Shinsuke surprise attack. I don't know if he's wearing a weird outfit, so I don't know if he came out of the crowd or what, but came and delivered the hit for Rollins. Again, I don't expect Shinsuke necessarily to win this championship, but they've set it up enough to make the match interesting, and again, the storytelling of Shinsuke is going to be targeting that back.
Yeah, and it all makes sense now because Shinsuke, told Seth Rollins to watch his back. Everybody assumed it was about Seth's back injury or whatnot. They're really playing that up with him continuing to attack him from behind, watch your back. But yeah, Rollins is phenomenal. He's great on the mic, great in the ring. He's a good first world heavyweight champion, but there's about a 20% optimistic chance in me that Shinsuke can take the belt away from him. I do, man. His entrance, that song is just great. Can you imagine him having the belt coming down to that song? Yeah. I mean, nothing to take away from Rollins. Love Rollins' entrance. He's great too, but I don't think they'll pull the trigger either. But man, can you just imagine Shinsuke walking down with that title and that music?
The next match was Ciampa and Bronson Reed. Reed attacked Ciampa at his entrance. Good match. Finished with an awkward pin, which was kind of on a botched finish there. Allows Ciampa to get the win. Doesn't necessarily take too much away from the match because they were trying. What they were trying to do with that finish was going to be difficult.
Yeah.
And basically Bronson Reed, big guy, just kind of rolled over too much. Just very awkward at the end though, because then he was like trying to all right, get in position, and then Ciampa was like, all right, well, the ref's already counting.
Yeah.
And so they just did 3. So very kind of awkward finish to it. Hopefully that doesn't take away from kind of the storytelling they're kind of doing there. Are you interested in that feud at all?
Not as much, and it is kind of confusing because I thought they were really building up Bronson Reed to be this big guy, and he just lost this match. And I know there are a lot of matches in feuds or whatnot, so they got to drop some of them, but this was kind of an interesting one to lose here for me.
He's getting a lot of start and stop pushes.
Yeah.
He's just kind of one week to the other is going to 50-50 booking. So it's kind of weird. And they did have a promo last week with Ciampa, so maybe they're trying to tell that story. Ultimately, I kind of like his promo. I kind of like his vibe altogether, but he's just small. He's just not very big, and so I don't know how much they ultimately can do with Ciampa. But they're giving another push. So maybe it started there with that Bronson Reed win. Rhea Ripley then comes out and does a promo. Eventually brings Raquel Rodriguez out. Rhea tries the Riptide. It fails. Good storytelling there to say Raquel might be too big. Rodriguez turns it into a hip toss and stands tall as Ripley kind of gets out of the ring and scurries off with their man Dom there. So okay, good kind of storytelling to kind of set up the Women's World Championship match.
And I think this would be interesting because earlier, we talked about Rhea said if they don't win behind Rhea to do it. They're trying to tease, like you said. She's bigger. She's got the moves set. With Dom, with the Judgment Day, it hasn't been her, so she doesn't need the title. So if they gave it to Rhea, I think that would be another twist in that Judgment Day storyline.
Yeah, and we'll see there. I hope they don't because I want Ripley. They got to do something with it. Hopefully this is the start of a long good defense of the title, but she's mostly just been kind of messing around with Judgment Day and not really focusing on the title. Hopefully this kind of changes that. They announced that the Grayson Waller effect will with Cody Rhodes will be for Payback. Again, to me, not a great idea. Kind of makes it feel like a SmackDown or Raw if you have one of those shows, but they did it with KO at WrestleMania a few years ago, so I guess they feel like they can get away with it if they have a big enough name. Cody Rhodes maybe being that. Becky Lynch and Zoe Stark then have a match. This was basically set up to be false count anywhere and no disqualification. So It was always kind of 2-on-1 and weird storytelling because it could have been 2-on-1 the whole time, but Trish kind of was playing by the rules, kind of not, only getting involved sometimes. Kind of strange to wrap your head around, but either way, they did a good job. As we've talked about, we didn't want to see this match, and we're tired of seeing Becky versus Zoe Stark and Becky versus Trish Stratus. So if you're tired of a feud, the best thing you can do is throw a bunch of kendo sticks and chairs and ladders in the match and tables, and so that's what they did. It started with kendo sticks, very hard hitting match. Just kind of fun. The storytelling there again, as sometimes the numbers game would catch up to Becky. Stark accidentally got hit by a Trish Stratus chair, which I don't know if that was planned or not. That was kind of the part of the story that's kind of tough to tell because they don't like doing chair shots to the head anymore. And it wasn't necessarily a vicious one, but it was from outside the ring. It did set up for somewhat of a distraction for Becky to kind of get the upper hand for a minute. So I don't know if that was planned. I'm gonna lean toward no, that it was planned, but that's a scary one to execute. In any case, kind of ended weird as Stark. This kind of went to the outside. Stark eventually hits Trish Stratus off of a ledge where they were standing, and that surprise allowed Becky to get the manhandle slam and beat Zoe for the win. Afterwards, Becky got on the mic, and this was after Raw, but you saw it in socials afterwards was kind of praising once again Bray Wyatt. So interesting way to wrap it up. We only have a few minutes, so I got to go through this pretty quickly. We'll go through our predictions here, and I think they're going to be about the same. I think this is a paint by the numbers type of premium live event where a lot of the winners are going to be predictable. And so WWE is going to have to do something to surprise you here. A World Heavyweight Championship, Rollins and Shinsuke. You said it earlier, probably 80% Rollins here.
Yeah, it's got to be Rollins.
Yeah, I've got to go with Rollins there. Women's World Championship, Rhea and Raquel Rodriguez.
I want it to be Raquel, but it's probably gonna be Rhea.
I gotta go with Rhea there too. Trish versus Becky Lynch in the steel cage. Trish's first steel cage match.
I hope it's Becky and it's just over with.
Yeah. The thing is, if Trish wins, you would think that Becky would just kind of continue this thing.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's kind of like it doesn't really matter. They've both kind of gotten shots in this feud, so whoever wins that one. I'll go with Becky, like you were kind of saying. U.S. Championship. This one could be where you see Austin Theory maybe kind of get the surprise. I'd go with Rey Mysterio because they just got it, but Rey Mysterio doesn't need a long title match. The only reason why I would pick Mysterio here is because this would be the second time that they would be dropping Theory's title for him to get it back right away. But maybe that's the story they want to tell.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Rey. You cannot give Austin Theory that title back. He needs something new. This would not be good.
Yeah, popcorn match, by the way.
Yep, probably.
Unfortunately, just because nobody wants to see Theory right now. Miz against LA Knight.
You know it. Yeah.
Yeah. LA Knight's gonna win that one, or the WWE will just will riot basically because people are tired of LA Knight not quite getting the big win. And the final one, World Tag Team Championship between Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and the Judgment Day. Of course, this being Finn Balor and Damian Priest.
I think Judgment Day, please, give them something, give them that win, put a wrinkle into the story, give those titles some relevancy.
Yeah. I'll have to go with. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. So at least we disagree on one thing. That'll be kind of the match. I don't know what it's quite to expect there. But that'll wrap it up for Nuclear Heat. We'll know by next week. So we will review Raw and this premium live event we've got coming up here. And that'll be our plan for next week on Nuclear Heat. Thanks for joining us once again. And join us every week, every Tuesday night from 7 to 8 here on 93.7 The Ticket as we talk Wrestling Weekly. Thanks again for being with us. Coming up next, WTF. Stay tuned.